All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the Future Baseball GMs podcast. I'm here with Chris, myself, Chris, Eric, and Andrew. That was my first time.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Forgive me. That was my first time.
We're not doing it again. We're going with that one.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone.
Great start. It's late.
So, Chris, I see you're wearing the Marlins jersey. How do you feel about them clinching tonight?
Well, this is unfortunately a very sad and depressing jersey. I don't think any Marlins fan ever liked this jersey, but I did just get it just because it is Jose Fernandez's jersey. And, today was the anniversary 4 years ago when he died. And, yeah, the Marlins clinched today. So it's, ironic, but it's good. I love the Marlins that they clinched it. I was watching the whole game today, and honestly, I was terrified. They went to extra innings. It was 3-3. And I was like, man, they're going to blow it. And they won.
And they beat the team that they beat in the World Series the last time that they were there.
Yep. And they celebrated on the field, took pictures in Yankee Stadium. It was beautiful.
It's the best way to do it.
No, it was amazing, And honestly, it was hilarious because I was watching my parents, and I was like, man, it's been 17 years. I was like, I never thought I'd ever see it again in my lifetime. And my parents, I said it in the last episode. My mom was like, Chris, it hasn't been that long. And I'm like, yeah, it's been 17 years. So, and even if we lose in the first round, honestly, I'm going to be so happy, that we at least made it, So.
Yeah, like high school kids who are up to be drafted this year, a lot of them would not have been born the last time the Marlins were in the playoffs. Give some perspective.
Oh, wow.
I know, that's insane. But, it's good. It feels really good, and I'm excited. I hope to get their new jersey soon. I don't want to have to wear this one. I just wear it because of Jose. That's it. So, but besides that, that's the only reason why I wear this jersey. So. But,
all right. Well, we do have a slew of baseball topics to discuss today. We'll see how many we get to. And we kind of covered this in our previous episode when we talked about the White Sox, but we didn't really talk about Garrett Crochet too much. So I just wanted to know, what are y'all's first impressions on him?
An absolute beast. Like, from the left side, too, my goodness. Man, I think he touched, was it 102 on the radar gun, or was it 101?
It's not 101.
101. Wow. Look at that. Yeah, I don't really have much to say, but, I was high on him, his draft. I think I had him ranked 6th or 7th on my board. I really like him. I like the fact that he feels that fastball, and it's a lot of power to it. It's a lot of power to it for sure. So yeah, I don't want to take too much credit, but yeah.
Yeah, I was when he first got drafted, I did think that there would be some players in this draft that may have had a shot to make it this year. I feel like teams in this season were really aggressive in bringing up prospects this year. And I just felt like, well, right now anyone can win. And it's like, you might as well, if you think Crochet or whoever is your best pitcher available to bring up right now, then go ahead and do it. I thought it was a beautiful move. And I just never thought it would be him, honestly. I thought it was going to be Max Meyer or Mayer, however his last name for the Marlins, honestly. I thought they were going to bring up as a bullpen piece, because they were talking about it when the Marlins bullpen was struggling. They were like, well, they may bring him up. And I thought it was going to be him. But Crochet, I thought it was perfect. I think he can go well, right now, and help them out big time. Power lefty, he's at 101. I mean, that's incredible from the left side. So I think that's a beautiful piece for them. So.
Yeah, you're right about Max Meyer too, because that's another guy I remember from this draft. A lot of people had tabbed him as being a potential reliever who could be like in the bullpen this season along with Crochet. And I feel like the White Sox actually did draft Crochet with the intention of bringing him up this season as long as he was performing well. And I mean, I know there are some concerns with the mechanics, and there's some concern with the control, but yeah, I mean, he's been blowing guys away. I mean, yeah, there's not much else to say, but like, wow. I was just looking at his StatCast page today, and like he's throwing 82% four seamers, which is a little crazy.
Oh, wow.
So maybe he is relying on the four seamer too much. Maybe a team will be able to figure out how to exploit that, but I mean, so far they haven't. So like, why change it if they haven't figured it out yet?
True.
And actually, I don't really know the percentages because I don't think he's thrown enough innings yet. But his opponent launch angle is 3.3%.
Oh, jeez.
So he's getting a lot of hard ground balls. Well, not even. Well, I guess it's kind of hard. His exit velos are about 90, but yeah, he's just getting guys to just drive the ball into the ground, and obviously swing and miss a lot as well. And I mean, despite the command, the concerns about the command, he's not walked anyone yet. Obviously that's probably not going to last. He's only thrown 4 innings. But from that sample size, it's he's doing the job that they drafted him to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was perfect timing too. So I think this is going to be great for them. And I just wonder if he's going to be up still at the start of next year, opening day. I think it's going to be interesting to watch to see if they're going to keep him up or, service time comes into play. And so we'll see. How old is Crochet? Do we know? 21?
Probably 21.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't know why there's such a fear of bringing up players, early if you think or that they're ready.
Yeah.
I don't see why he doesn't bring up more players like that, like right when you draft them, especially if you think they're ready. You know what I mean? Like, might as well just go ahead and do it. Like I even think someone like, I mean, I know it's the Royals. They're not gonna make it, this season, but like if the Royals were in contention, like Asa Lacy, I felt like would have been totally fine coming up, like as soon as possible. And I don't see why teams don't do it more, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah, I think he was the first since Mike Leake in like 2009 to completely skip the minors. And the last kind of time I can remember something like this happening was at the Royals, like you said, with Brandon Finnegan in 2015. And like a lot of people forget, he was actually good that year. He didn't really pan out in the long term, as the pitcher people thought he might be able to be. But he was good that year for them, and he pitched well in the World Series.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of with you. I'm not really sure why that's sort of a stigma.
So I guess I wanted to ask, like, where are you guys' Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, and MVP picks for the season? I'll let you guys go first, and I'll go last.
Eric, you want to go first?
I probably can. All right, I guess I'll start with Rookie of the Year because that's the page I have up on Fangraphs right now. So I feel for Rookie of the Year, I think it's kind of an obvious choice, and that's Kyle Lewis on the Mariners. The Mariners actually did better than a lot of people probably thought they would. And they've had some good performances from their rookies, and some not so good performances from like Evan White, unfortunately. But yeah, Kyle Lewis, he's got the 365 WOBA, 1.9 WAR. Honestly, that that guy is like he's the first of their wave of prospects from there, like when they fully committed to the rebuild with the Cano deal and everything. Um, he that was their first round draft pick in 2016, and I'm excited to see him and Kellenic and a lot of their other guys. I wish they would have brought up Kellenic, honestly. Maybe if they were more in contention, they would have. But yeah, Kyle Lewis, he's like the reason to watch the Mariners right now. And then for the National League, the National League is honestly kind of tough. But for the National League, I would honestly probably have to go with Tony Gonsolin for the Dodgers, or maybe it's Gonsolin. I'm not sure. And see, I don't know if he's really thrown enough innings, but nobody's really thrown that many innings. But he's actually been better than Dustin May, and Dustin May has been pretty good. He might beat out his own teammate, but yeah, 1.7 ERA, and he's got pretty decent peripherals too. His xFIP is just kind of average, so maybe he's a little fluky this year, but I think he's going to be a really good piece for them. So yeah, those are my Rookie of the Year picks. Did you guys all want to do like one thing at a time, like we all do rookies and then we all do Cy Young?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, why not? I'll go out. Just like you said, I think the obvious choice for the AL Rookie of the Year is Kyle Lewis. I just think he's been phenomenal. And in the beginning, I would have probably said Luis Robert, but he's kind of on the cliff a little bit. But he's still amazing. I think he's going to be amazing. But Kyle Lewis definitely has had the better season. Just like you said, I would also love to see Clinic. And one day maybe I'll say the story about Brody. Maybe so Brody can't use that as an argument anymore for that trade. Maybe one day we'll have that conversation. But for the NL, I think it was just such a surprise that I've loved the guy forever. When he got drafted, I was like, man, this guy's gonna be phenomenal. I don't know if Andrew remembers, but I actually said I was like, this guy would be my number one pick for this year. And that's Alec, how you say his last name? Baum, right? Baum?
Alec Bohm.
Bohm,
I believe it's Bohm, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's the future third baseman for the Phillies for a long time. I think he's going to be there for a long time, and I think he is a star. And he's had an amazing season. I think they've even been hitting him third. He's just been incredible. And if I'm mistaken, these stats may be old, not updated. But Alec Bohm, he's just been incredible. I know he's hitting around, or if not at 330 right now. And for a rookie, I know it's a short season, but for a rookie to be hitting like that right now, right away, is very impressive. Let me get the stats real quick. I believe so. He's hitting 338 right now. Last time I checked, he was hitting 333. So, that's incredible. And he would have definitely been my number one pick that year. I think him and India were my two favorite players that year. And but man, he's really like, and I think he's been quiet. I've never really heard anyone talk about him this season.
Because I think lack of power. I don't think he's hitting for much power, is he?
He has 4 home runs right now, but
yeah.
So that could be the reason, But I think in the future he'll be fine. But for this season, Rookie of the Year wise, I think he's the best. I think he's the best rookie, So everyday player hitting third in your lineup right now, and he's a rookie, so hitting 338. I'm impressed.
I'm a little surprised you didn't say Sixto Sanchez.
I would have, but they kind of brought him up kind of late, to be honest with you. I would have brought him up so much earlier. I would have loved to have seen him, like maybe after like 2 weeks into or like 3 weeks into the season, they should have brought him up already. Especially like when the Marlins had that whole COVID wave, I would have loved to have seen him. They needed pitchers badly, man. I swear the Marlins had pitchers at one point that I promise you they just had like an open tryout or something. And they just picked guys. I mean, it was bad at one point. But hey, they're in the playoffs. So. But anyways, Andrew, if you wanna say your rookies of the year, I kind of
Oh
want to hear
yeah.
this.
So you guys did AL and NL, so I'll do NL and AL. So for NL, I'll probably go with Tony Gonsolin. He's a guy that I really really liked. I think he throws up to 100 if I recall correctly. But yeah, he as Eric was saying, he's actually probably better than I would maybe not long term, but he's been performed better than Dustin May, which is pretty surprising. So definitely Tony Gonsolin, and in the AL, I would have to go with Kyle Lewis as well. There's not much other superlatives to say other than that. He's been great. He's been really great from the get go. He hitting for power, hitting for average. His WAR is pretty high. Like he's just been great, phenomenal. He's just been really phenomenal. So definitely Kyle Lewis in the AL.
I'm a little disappointed that none of us said Jake Cronenworth, who was actually I debated between him and Gonsolin for a really long time.
Yeah,
I think he was in the
he was in
Tommy
the.
Pham trade, right?
Was
Or
it
the
sometime? Or
no
was it
the
Emilio? Was it Emilio Pagan?
he was in the
It was a Tommy Pham trade. I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was a Tommy Pham trade. I had the player to be named later.
Isn't that crazy?
or no, they did another trade, right? The Rays and the
Yeah,
Padres.
they did two trades. They did the Emilio Pagan trade and the Pham trade with the
Yeah.
Padres. Yeah.
Well, he was traded at some point.
Yeah, from the Rays. Imagine the Rays with Cronenworth.
Yeah, it was in the Tommy Pham trade, and he
Yeah.
was the player to be named later. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's crazy. But
Yeah.
no, he was definitely second. I should have mentioned his name because he's definitely second on my list. So
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the stars on the Padres, it's kind of like easy to overlook that guy. But he sort of had an interesting path to the majors. It wasn't really a high draft pick or ever really like a top prospect, but
Hmm?
he's always been a productive player in the minor leagues, and it's kind of hard to put like minor league stats into perspective. But I feel like a team that figures out a way to, you know, find out which major leagues or which minor league stats are for real and then which are just inflated because of the environment is going to have like a big advantage. And
Yeah.
maybe the Padres found a way to do that with Cronenworth, because like last year in the minors in the Rays AAA, he hit like 520 slugging, 429 OBP, 334 average. It is the minor leagues, but those are still like great numbers, and
Yeah.
he seemed to continue that.
Yeah.
great. You want to go over the MVPs now?
Is it Cy Young first? Cy Young.
Sam, what you saying? Let's do it.
So for the AL, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Shane Bieber. Wasn't really high on him as a prospect. I don't know what it was, that he didn't throw hard enough for me or what. But fastball's great. He has like a bunch of like secondary stuff, and it's like if he doesn't win, I think it would be a crime. It would be a crime if he was win the Cy Young. So yeah, definitely Shane Bieber in the AL. And in the NL, like I was debating between two pitchers. I was debating between Yu Darvish and Trevor Bauer, right? But I'd probably give it to Yu Darvish. I was gonna say because of wins, but that's not a legitimate reason why. But I would say definitely Yu Darvish, just because the fact that he's he's just been consistent. Like he's been great. He's been great. Yeah, definitely Yu Darvish. I'd definitely say Yu Darvish. If it wasn't for him, I'm not sure where the Cubs rotation. Not that it's been bad, but he's just been the absolute standout. That game one, he'd be starting for the Cubs. So definitely Yu Darvish. I'd say Yu Darvish.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you, Darvish.
Yeah,
I was a little worried about him, but I love, obviously, I'm a Rangers fan, and I've always loved you, Darvish, and it kind of hurt me to see him struggle for the Dodgers and then his first couple of years with the Cubs. But that guy's just so much fun to watch pitch. I mean, he has like 12 different pitches, and he, like, this past offseason, he added like a new one to his already huge arsenal. But for the National League Cy Young, I'm actually going with DeGrom, as much as it hurts me to go against Darvish. But I mean, DeGrom is just like, he's just been better. I mean, he's just got, better numbers, more strikeouts, a better ERA, better FIP. Um, it someone needs to put him on a better team. DeGrom is like the next Tom Seaver, honestly, because the Mets never give him any support. It's kind of sad. It honestly it has to be DeGrom, as much as I love Darvish and as good as Bauer's been. Like Bauer has a better ERA, but his xFIP and they're still kind of average. I mean, he's still good. I'm not trying to discredit what he's done, but DeGrom has just been as good as he has ever been. So I'm going with DeGrom for the National League. And then in the American League, I'm also going with Shane Bieber. And I just agree with everything that Andrew said about him. Because, like, who else has really been on his level
Yeah.
in the American League anyway? I mean, I guess maybe Dallas Keuchel, but
Shane Bieber for sure. I think I think he's running away with it. I think it's an easy choice. I hope they don't pull LeBron on him, and a whole bunch of people don't vote for him for some weird reason. I think he will win for sure. If someone votes otherwise, they don't deserve to be on the board to vote. So, but yeah, he's running away with it easily. And then for the AL, the face of baseball deserves the Cy Young Award, and that's Trevor Bauer. And yes, he is the face of baseball, whether you want to agree or not. And
I think he would agree with you, though.
And he will definitely be. If he's not commissioner one day, that's a crime.
He's never going to be commissioner.
He's never going to be commissioner. Don't go for it.
As sad as that is, I could see him be like president of the players union or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something. He has to be something, because that. I mean, I agree with like almost everything he says. It's crazy. But besides putting all bias away, I do think he deserves it anyways, just based on numbers. I mean, of course, I would love to say DeGrom. Obviously he's amazing, and I would probably say the best. One of the best, or if not the best pitcher in the NL, just in general. But Trevor Bauer just this year does deserve it. I know ERA isn't anymore looked upon as like such an important stat. It's more of FIP. But if you do look at ERA, Trevor Bauer's ERA right now is 1.73, and DeGrom's is 2.14. And I mean, the thing is, DeGrom's FIP is 1.99 and Trevor Bauer's 2.87. But I just think this year, I think it's the perfect. I think he's just the perfect fit for Cy Young. What a season to have Trevor Bauer as Cy Young. I just think it's perfect.
That would be fitting. I'll give you that. And I'm a big Trevor Bauer fan, so I wouldn't mind that at all. And I mean, like, FIP it's just a predictive tool. It doesn't actually indicate results. Exactly. If you want to, you can make the argument that the Cy Young is about who got the best results. ERA is more indicative of results than FIP, though. I can see that.
I mean, like, if we have a team, right? For some reason, we're co-coaches, okay, co-managers. We had to do game one. I'm starting DeGrom over Trevor Bauer any day of the week, but this season, though, it's just Trevor Bauer. I think, like you said, he's had better results. DeGrom's obviously the better pitcher, but DeGrom has had better results. I mean, Bauer has had better results this season, and I think he deserves it. And I hope Ron Manfred announces it.
Oh man, that'd be fitting.
So,
I mean, he will have to present him with the award, right? I think that's what the commissioner does.
Yeah.
If the Reds win the World Series. If Trevor Bauer's the World Series MVP, the commissioner is going to be there. That it's going to be some spiciness. I'm looking forward to that if that does happen.
Wow. Well, let's go over MVPs now. I think this year MVP is such a mess.
Yeah.
It really is.
I guess I'll go first for that one. Yeah. So for me, I had for the NL. I mean, because it's so hard because I want to do Tatis. He just, again, going back to results, he just didn't have the end result, the best overall numbers. Right now, and I don't think it's even arguable. It's Freddie Freeman right now. I mean, I feel weird saying like a first baseman is the MVP, but Freddie Freeman does a little bit of everything. You know, and he's just, I mean, right now, like on Fangraphs, he's second in WAR. Well, number one in the NL in WAR, and I think he's just been the best. He's 12 home runs. He's hitting 338 on bases, 456. He's just been incredible, and I think he's the MVP. And the Braves are going to the playoffs. For some reason, I do look at that as kind of important. Like, has their team gone to the playoffs? I mean, I think Mike Trout was an exception for so many years. I think he's deserved it, just because he is the best player in baseball. But I do think Freddie Freeman deserves it this year. Even though I would love to say Tatis, just because he's been such an exciting player to watch on probably the most exciting team to watch. And he's just been like a superstar this year. I mean, everyone is starting to know his name. But you know what? Freddie Freeman is a great player, and he's also a great person. And then for the AL as another first baseman, I have Jose Abreu as the MVP for this season. And I feel weird saying Jose Abreu. I'm just so used to having like a Mike Trout and then Mookie Betts, which you could probably say Mookie Betts this season too for MVP. But it's just weird having Freddie Freeman and Jose Abreu as my choices. To me, it's just like, are they really the MVPs? If it was a long season, I don't think they would be MVPs. But because it is a short season, they are MVPs. So, and Jose Abreu, he is 6 in WAR, so he is actually behind, and this is from Fangraphs, he is behind Jose Ramirez in the AL. He is behind Jose Ramirez and Rendon, but he has more home runs than both of them. He has a higher batting average than both of them, and I think for MVP, I mean, obviously advanced, stats are important, but I think for MVP, it's like a lot of basic, you know, results for people to look at. So I kind of see like, I kind of would rather have Jose Abreu, someone who's hitting 325 than Rendon right now, who has only 9 home runs and he's hitting 281. So, that's just that is I can tell Eric doesn't agree with me at all.
No, I'm sorry. I'm actually looking at the Fangraphs pages, and I'm mentally preparing myself for what I'm about to say with my picks.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird year, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to say Machado too, just because it's Machado, But and yes, screw everyone who said Machado was a bust, and I mean, the man has one bad year, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's the worst player. Why give him the contract?" I mean, geez, the guy's 27. He has one little bit of a down year, and his down year is better than average. So, and he's had a great year. But yeah, Freddie Freeman, Jose Abreu, those my MVPs. So, and Also, I wouldn't even argue Shane Bieber being MVP for AL. So, yeah, you can go. Whoever's next.
All right, Andrew, you can go next because I'll say my takes for last.
Okay. So for the AL, I have Jose Abreu, what Chris said. Jose Abreu, as we're talking tonight, is tied for 8th in batting average at 325. He's tied with Trey Turner for first in baseball with 74 hits. He's second behind Luke Voigt in home runs. And he's first in the league in runs batted in both AL and NL. That's absurd. That's just absurd, man, especially for a first baseman. I know first basemen are some people that's supposed to hit for power, not actually good like at defense and stuff. But he's been great. He's been really great, and I'll definitely say him. For NL, I'm still debating. I'd probably go with Mookie Betts because the Dodgers have well they've played him being the reason why with like Bering not playing that well. Mookie Betts has carried that team. Like I know the team is loaded, but he's absolutely like carried that team this year, and he's a big reason why the Dodgers are first 8 straight division titles. Is it eight? I think it's 8 straight, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Mookie Betts is my pick for NL MVP. So Jose Abreu in the AL and then Mookie Betts in the NL. I was tempted to say Freddie Freeman, but I think Mookie Betts will probably ultimately win it. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, and I kind of agree with you. And I mean, the only reason why I would say Freddie Freeman over Mookie is, I think, yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Hmm?
Freddie Freeman's hitting 338, Mookie Betts hitting 293, and Mookie has an on base of 363, and Freddie Freeman's on base is 456.
That
So
is
he gets
insane.
on
Yeah,
he gets on base way more than him. And what does Billy Bean say?
we want guys that get on base.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, I love the Abreu pick, and I actually think it's interesting how he's like the one guy left who they didn't trade in their rebuild, and maybe it could be a lesson to some teams. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to hang on to those veterans, and I'm sure that their young players they love learning from a guy like Abreu, who's he's not like that old, but he's been around the league for a while.
Yeah.
And he's always been a very good hitter. So yeah, I like the Jose Abreu pick, and if this was a normal year and he was having the season he was having, I'd probably vote for him too. But because this is not a normal year, that transitions me into my picks, which um, okay, just hear me out. So for many years, we have heard people say, "Oh, the MVP should go to someone on a playoff team." Like how can a guy be valuable if his team didn't make the playoffs? And what better year than this year to use that argument? So when I was making my picks, I decided to go for guys who are having the best seasons on teams that are not expected to be, in the playoffs or would not have maybe even made the playoffs without them. Because this is a weird year. This is a stupid year. So I'm not going to take this award very seriously because we're looking at 60 games. It's hard enough with the Cy Young, and it's even harder with the MVP because I mean, look at the normal MVP candidates. Like, look at Christian Yelich's stats this year. Like, Cody Bellinger was like the worst player in baseball for like the first month or something. Like, this is not a normal year, so these are not going to be normal MVP picks. So, well, I'll let you guys pick. Do you want to hear the AL or the NL first?
Uh let's do NL. I feel like NL is debatable, so
NL?
yeah.
Okay. So, I was actually debating between two players, but I decided to go with Miguel Rojas on the Miami Marlins. I
Oh
mean, he's
wow.
yep, he's been their best player by far. I mean, you can say maybe Sixto Sanchez, but like Chris said earlier, he should have been up earlier in the year. He probably would have gotten it. But yeah, I'm going with Miguel Rojas.
Oh geez.
And I say that even though he's only been 38 games. He's been their best player in 38 games. He has their most WAR. He's ahead of Brian Anderson. Um, the dude is fun to watch, and I feel like strongly because I hear that the Marlins organization loves him, and I feel like without him, they would not be in the playoffs, but they
Yeah.
are. So Miguel Rojas, the most valuable player, not the best player, maybe. I think definitely not the best player, but I think most valuable. So that's my pitch for Miguel Rojas for NL MVP.
Do you
And then
mind if I take a picture of this moment real quick?
sure.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Miguel Rojas.
I actually took a picture, by the way. I wasn't joking.
All
That's
right.
incredible.
And
Wow.
I promise I promise I'm not pandering to my co-hosts here, but my American League MVP pick is Teoscar Hernandez on the Blue Jays.
Oh wow, okay.
So again, it's
Man, but
kind
you
of
got some surprising people.
it's
What
kind of
the
it's kind of the same argument for Miguel Rojas. He's been the best player on the Blue Jays, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like without him, I think they're still a good team. Maybe they sneak into the playoffs, but I don't think they have, maybe as high a seed. Although I think they are still a wild card team, right? Or no,
Yeah.
they could still surpass the Yankees, I think. So they could still get a better seed. But yeah, Teoscar Hernandez, 297, 345, 599 slash line. A 599 slash line. Teoscar Hernandez has a 599 slash slugging percentage. What is happening?
He's always had
It's
ability though.
2020, man.
He's always had ability. I'm not sure like this, but he's always had ability. I remember when we first acquired him, man. He went off the month of, was it September? He just went off for like 8 home runs in September. We're just like, man, like we got him for freaking, I can't remember who it was. I can't remember who we traded, but yeah, he's always had ability. It's just a matter of like reps. I think more reps,
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's been the past couple seasons he's been, above replacement. I mean, 22 homers, 26 homers in 2018 and 2019. And 20 homers doesn't mean as much as it meant, 10 years ago with the home run numbers up. But yeah, he's been a solid player for them. But yeah, this year it's like it's just crazy. 16 homers in 48 games, not even 200 plate appearances. So those are my takes. There's no better year to give the most valuable player to whoever helped their team the most. So there you go. I promise I didn't plan it so that I would give it to guys on both of y'all's favorite teams. So, but maybe you don't get mad at me now that I did that.
I respect it though. I respect it.
Oh yeah.
And I would have said, okay, fine, Miguel Rojas, if he didn't have 4 home runs. But also though, he did miss like 2 weeks of the season because he got COVID. And I think for like the first week of the season, he was like the best player. So
that's true, yeah.
And maybe if he played like 10 more games, maybe he would have had more, more home runs, something. He would have been up there. But he's always been a good player, man. I remember when the Marlins first got him, and they were starting Hechavarria over him, and I'm like, man, Miguel Rojas, he has a beautiful swing. If you watch his swing, he has a beautiful swing. I mean, a swing that you look at him and you're like, man, you know what? This guy has potential to be a star. And this year he's made big leaps, and he is the captain of the team right now. And he's he's an MVP player, and he's been an MVP person for the Marlins. And I don't, and like he said, I don't think the Marlins make it without him. So he's been like the most consistent player, and he's their lightning bolt. So I respect it.
I almost went with Trevor Bauer for my NL MVP.
Oh, I almost did too.
Yeah. Even though I didn't pick him for Cy Young, I feel like it's okay to pick him for MVP just because of, the Reds are in the playoffs and the Mets most likely are not. So
let's move on to the next question. Let's see what we got. We have why is baseball so hard to repeat? Like have repeat champions.
Yeah. I think that's a good one.
Yeah. So for those that haven't heard, the Nationals didn't make the playoffs this year. They were officially eliminated. So yeah, we want to like ask ourselves, why is it that baseball is so hard to repeat? guess I can go first. I think baseball is a game of momentum. Like teams that like they do well during the end of the season, like I believe I would have to fact check this, but um teams that do well during the end of the season and stuff, like teams that have a lot of momentum. So like like Washington, like they had a momentum at the end of last season. I'm trying to remember who else. The Astros did when they won back in 2017. They had a lot of momentum like during like the season, and it really took like matriculated in the playoffs. So like I do believe like it's all up baseball to get momentum, and Washington just hasn't been able to get momentum the whole year. So
Okay, so what about you, Eric? Why do you so two things I think we're going over is why do you think the Nationals have struggled this year and not made it, and why do you think it's so hard to repeat?
Well, I think it's sort of the nature of the playoffs. Baseball is such a random sport that it's really hard to determine who the best team is in a best of 5 or a best of 7 series. Because over the course of a season, even the best team, the team that secures the best record, they'll lose series. They'll lose series to bad teams, teams that are below 500, well below 500. It's just the nature of the game. So I think that's why you see, back in old times, before there were playoffs and there was just, you had their regular season, whatever team won the pennant, they would face off in the World Series. And I think you would see a lot more repeat champions because the best teams carried over each season. And they didn't have to go through the randomness of the playoffs. And, then they added the championship series. And, there were still quite a few repeat champions, I think. And then, I think the 90s, they added the LDS, which, we still had the Yankees dynasty of the late 90s, but, that's just, that's more of like just one team being so extraordinarily dominant. And we haven't really seen a team be that dominant. I mean, I guess the only really regular season example we have are the Dodgers in recent years, but they haven't had the playoff success. And once they introduce like the wild card series where you just have one game and you're done. I think was it 2016? Was it 2016 that the Mets they lost in the wild card game to the Giants? I don't remember,
kind of
but
blank, yeah.
they were they went from being the National League pennant to out in one game, one and done. And also, I think in recent years, it's also the result of teams are just smarter, and teams are better run, and teams are they know how to win better than ever. So it's harder for a team to just be able to spend money and fix their problems, for example, or one team just having an edge and every other team just is unable to catch up. With all the analytics, teams are so smart, and it's harder for you to remain so far above the competition for so long. Like we're already seeing teams catching up to the Astros. Even before the cheating stuff, like if you're coming out of the Astros front office, you were primed to be hired by other teams. Like we saw so many people get hired out of the Astro system. We've seen so many people get hired out of the Dodgers system. And you're gonna talk to that other team. You're gonna share your knowledge. Information gets passed around. So yeah, it's just harder. It's harder to be that far above the rest of the competition, I think, than it used to be.
Yeah, going back to the Nationals, I think the Nationals, I don't even think if it was a long season they would have recovered. I was just looking at, their team stats from this year to last year and see where they ranked. And if I'm not mistaken, the Nationals were top 5 or I'd say top 6, top 7 around there, if I'm not mistaken, in pitching and hitting. And this year they're, I think, below the top 25. So they've been a nice hot mess. And I don't even think if they had a Rendon, it would be that much different. But the problem is they lost Rendon, and I think they expected Howie Kendrick to kind of produce how he was producing last year, and that hasn't happened. And they also, because who were the replacement players for Rendon in the offense? They got Starlin Castro and Eric Thames, which Eric Thames wasn't really a replacement because they had Zimmerman and Kendrick kind of played first base too. And
Well, Zimmerman opted out, I think.
I was like, he did. Okay, yeah, okay, so exactly. So, and it's just like, so I'm looking here, Kendrick this year, he just hasn't been the same. His WAR for this year, according to Fangraphs, is negative -0.3. Okay. As Dribble Cabrera is negative -0.1, and he had a pretty decent season last year. And Adam Ian is negative -0.5, and Michael Taylor is also a negative -0.3. So it's just, the offense is just gone. It's gone. And the pitching also hasn't been there. And it's just hasn't been good, because I think baseball, no matter how hard people try to predict baseball, I think baseball is one of the, if not the hardest sport to predict, because I don't know, you just can't predict. I mean, yeah, it's useful to know, but it's just so hard to predict, these players. Because I mean, you can change anything, and you could become a totally different player. You can have wear and tear. I mean, it could be anything. Anything can change, and yeah, it just hasn't been good. What happened to Strasburg this year? He got hurt, right?
Yeah, I believe he did. Yeah, yeah, he did.
Yeah. So that was another big thing that they missed. I mean, in reality, you know, they only had two guys that were pitching that have a WAR over 1, and that's Patrick Corbin and Max Scherzer. Everyone else is under, let's see, under .5. So, it just hasn't been the same. And they could have done a better job, I think, at replacing Rendon. I don't think getting Starlin Castro was the greatest replacement. And even if they did make a Starlin Castro, I feel like they could have maybe have gotten a little more pieces just to, the money they would have spent on Rendon, I think they could have spent it somewhere else a little more effectively. And in reality, to me, in my opinion, which is going to my next thing, the Nationals weren't the best team last year. I mean, I know they won, okay, but to me, they weren't the best team. And that's the thing about baseball, is that, again, you can't predict. Every year I hear, man, the Astros are going to win. Man, the Dodgers are going to win. It just never freaking happens. Every year it's just like who? I mean, like these, so many times it just shocks. And that's the beauty about baseball. You see, the thing about baseball is, right, in basketball, you have 5 players on the court. If you have LeBron James on your team, you're probably going to be good. That's all you need. You can have J.R. Smith at point guard, right? Andrew Iman Shumpert at shooting guard. I mean, your freaking center could be Nate Robinson, okay? And I think you could still win and go to the playoffs with LeBron. In baseball, you can, with the Angels, you can have Mike Trout, and you still aren't going to the playoffs unless you build a team around him, And it's same with football. It's, you got Patrick Mahomes. You don't need Tyreek Hill to be good. You don't need all these players, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, to be good. Travis Kelce. If you have Mahomes, you're probably going to be good. That's all you need.
I think kind of what you're trying to say is you can't send Mike Trout up to bat every time. You can't send him up 9 times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so funny because I always talk too much. And that's such a long story, but you literally just said it perfectly in one sentence. Everything I just said, you said it in one
Yeah,
sentence.
or you can't have Jacob deGrom pitch every day. Although
Yeah.
they used to do that before they knew about arm injuries, but
Well, to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning to the Future Baseball GMs podcast. You're watching episode 3. Hope to see you next week. Bye for now.
bye.